Good evening, everybody. And a little bit late getting back to you on this one, but this is just a quick video on programming the Dm6100 which I got from a supplier a while ago. I actually really like this radio, however there are a few issues with it. But first of all, I'm just going to go into the programming side of it. Now, you may notice if you've watched my Baofeng 1701 programming, that's a little bit more step by step. This one, not so much. This goes into the actual software itself, but it's pretty much identical to the Baofeng one. So if you do get stuck, have a look at the Baofeng programming one, and it'll show you any missing steps that I may have done in this one. So first of all, I'm going to fire up the software which I got from the manufacturer. So give me a second to fire this up. Now when you install this, it installs in Chinese, and you've sort of got to guess which one is yes and which one is no. Yes is usually the highlighted button. Anyway, once you get it installed, if you go to settings, or it'll be in Chinese characters, if you go into the fourth one across, and click English, and it's in English. Now I'm not going to show you it actually programming the radio itself. I've already programmed the radio up, but I am going to go open up the CPS and show you how to configure it inside there. So I have a file already created. I call it hamfam, and I'll open it. Now this is the code plug, as you call them when you're talking about DMR. This is the one set up on this radio here. So the radio information, the model I have is E. Took me a while to work that one out because they supply you with, you see, you got different versions here. Now I had to flash it with this one because of an issue. I will mention that later on in the, I will turn that down while I wait. That's just it connecting to the analog repeater, not far away from me. Okay, so I was saying, yes, I had to install a sample code plug, which is the basic one, in order to fix an issue. Anyway, as you'll see, so this is a Model E, got the usual bits and bobs, and it's also got an FM radio on this. Okay, so we've got the general settings, and it's a Dm6100, and you recognize all these mid volume gains, all that sort of stuff. You can mess around with this once you've got it programmed. Excuse me. Indication. This is just what, I don't know, it's call tone, end tone, beeps, text messages if you get a beep, and all that sort of stuff. I don't really go into any of this because, to be honest, I don't actually know myself. I'm still learning the DMR side of things. TOT is time to talk, so that's the usual cut-off time if you're jabbering away on a radio for too long and you're taking up too much time. Timeout's usually like a minute before you have to unkey and then rekey again. Vox, everybody knows what Vox is. That's just basically radio listens for your voice and transmits when it hears it. Menus available. It's available on the radio itself. And the buttons. Go over this in another radio. You got the zones, which is, if you want to go on to zones, I may do a video on this later on, but it's pretty much the same as the Dm1701. In fact, I've got a feeling that most DMR radios are exactly like this, but it's just glitches not glitches, just slight changes in the software. Now you will notice that this radio doesn't have the same function as the Baofeng. The Baofeng has, since you've got channel A and channel B, so you've got A at the top, B at the bottom, it allows you to program specific channels you're allowed to use in each one of those. But this one it doesn't. All the channels are available in each different one, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we've got to the first one now. V7RPT is a local analog repeater, so I've set it up as analog. So you can see digital mixed. I haven't really used mixed yet, but digital is the new one. Labeled it. It's the receiving, transmitting, channel size, channel spacing. Sorry, transmission power, and there's any codes that you might need to connect to the transmitter. And this one requires a CTCS S code on your transmit to open the repeater for you. Now I don't know if you've noticed this, but there is a slight programming error here in the software. As you can see, the transmission type is CTCSS, so if you select CTCSS, they've got these two labels the wrong way around. It still works, so you've got all your tones in there. You just need to remember that this one is actually this one, and this one is actually this one. So, as I say, that's just a programming glitch on their side. I haven't bothered telling them about it yet, but I will do. The next one is V7RAG, which is the local digital repeater here, or the closest one to me anyway. And you can see I have the digital type as digital. It's V7RAG. It's transmit, receive frequencies, channel spacing, scan lists. I haven't turned scan lists on. They work pretty much the same as what they do on the Baofeng. And the transmission high. Transmission admit. I've just left it as channel free. You can always allow, but it basically means is if the channel's in use, the radio will not let you transmit. If you select as always allow when you try and transmit, the radio tries to transmit, but nothing will happen, obviously, because it can't connect to the repeater because it's in use. And then you go to so that's the analog side of the digital repeater, which gets you connected to the repeater itself. And then you've got the digital stuff. So on this local repeater, I'm connecting to the parrot. It's just a reply channel on a DMR. It's on slot 1. The local DMR repeater is a color code 0. And I've got the group list here. Always allow. I've got that set as always allow. I could just leave it as text, but I just leave that alone. And it's in the receive group list. Not exactly sure what that means because, yeah, it's here and here. Anyway. So we go to the DMR basics. Now then, you need this. This is my digital radio ID, and you get that from, well, I'll put a link in the description or the other video itself where you go to get that. However, you need to be a licensed ham to get one. So go to contacts. Okay, I only put 2 contacts in. Put the parrot and BC1. The parrot is the one where you just talk to it, and the repeater logs your message and waits a few seconds, then transmits it back to you, just to say, this is what I got. And then there's BC1, which is my usual one I use. It's pretty quiet, unless it's on a Friday evening, but I've already missed the net, so I can't. I'll show you transmitting on it anyway, but if anybody comes back to me, that's a different matter. Quick text, never used it yet. This is the sort of thing I'll use if I'm doing a simplex. I'll test it on simplex between 2 radios. Encrypt, I've never used it yet, and at this current stage in the licensing I will not be using it, because you're not allowed to use it on amateur radio channels unless you publicly release the encryption key. And then what's the point? But anyway. Okay, the receive group lists, as you can see, I have the group list 1 with a parrot and... Oh. Okay, I've just realised that the... Oh, yes, sorry, this is DMR services, nothing to do with the analog. Right, so we've got the parrot and the BC1. The scan, it's, as I say, I'm not going to really mess around with it on this one yet, but I will look into it later on, see if it's any different. I haven't really looked into the emergency side of things yet. The FM radio, you can see the VFOs tend to the local radio station, which is Jack 96.9. But anyway, that's then you got the VFO channels if you want to go into VFO mode. So that's basically all you do. And then remember that once you create the contact in here. Once you have a contact in here, when you create the channel, make sure they do the analog side of the digital. It sounds a bit weird when you say that. And then you make sure you have the right one set here. Now, at the minute, I would normally call this maybe V7RAG-parrot, just so I know which one it is. But this is just for testing, so I'm just going to leave it as V7RAG. I could drop this down and go to BC1 and save that, and what that would mean is it would transmit on the BC1 channel instead of parrot. What this means is it's in the group list, so if anybody was to talk on BC1, it will come through on the radio as well, but as I say, it's really quiet at this time. Okay, so let's jump across to the radio itself. And so we have one cool little feature on this is it has, I don't know if you can see it, there's one here, which is a monitor button, which I haven't programmed. You've got a PTT here and a PTT here. Now then, what you will notice is if I was to push basically the top one, the top PTT button transmits on the top band here, the group A, or the channel A, B, whatever you want to call it, the A section there. And the next one transmits on the B section. So you always got to remember that. So yeah, so here we go. I'm just gonna broadcast on the DMR onto the parrot. So give me a second here. This is Victor Alpha 7 Charlie Oscar India testing on parrot. Testing on parrot. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try again. Victor Alpha 7 Charlie Oscar India testing on parrot. Testing on parrot. What have I done to break this? What have I done wrong? Let's have a look at here. Victor Alpha 7 Charlie Oscar India testing on parrot. Testing on parrot.
Alpha 7 Charlie Oscar India testing on.
Okay. I think the problem there was the channel was actually, or somebody was actually broadcasting in that time slot at the time, or something was happening on the channel, or another channel was coming through, or something like that. If it doesn't give you a warning like the Baofeng does, the Baofeng will go beep if it can't do it. This one's not doing that, so let's try it again. Victor Alpha 7 Charlie Oscar India, radio check on parrot.
Victor Alpha 7 Charlie Oscar India, radio check on parrot.
Okay, so that is working. I did notice that when I pushed the transmit button before, it didn't show up parrot, which meant it hadn't actually connected to the oh my god, the repeater. Yes, again, I'm doing this late at night, so I'm pretty tired. And as you see, if I push the second bottom button here, somebody might come back to me on this one. I'm not too sure. Victor Alpha 7 Charlie Oscar India, radio check. Okay, looks like maybe everybody's asleep. Very well. But you did hear it before. I had to turn it down when somebody was trying to come in, although their signal was really bad. So they must have been out on a mobile somewhere, or a handheld just out of their range. Anyway, so this is this radio working. Now, the thing is, I do like this radio. However, I've been having some problems with it. For a start, it doesn't use the FTDI cable, I think it is, for programming. This one actually came with an analog cable, utilizing the prolific chip in it, or whether it's an original prolific, I don't know. But it gives me a bit of grief. I do occasionally get a device error, or device has malfunctioned in Windows and it crashes it, and I have to disconnect it all, turn it off, plug everything back in again, rerun the program, and it starts to work. I also occasionally get some errors when writing to the actual radio itself. And again, I have to do the same thing. I unplug it, turn it off, unplug the cable from it, plug it back in again, turn it back on, and rewrite the software, and it works again. So yeah, it's it's got a bit of glitchiness to it, but I do like it. It's like nice and small. It feels pretty solid. It's just that thing with the programming cable. It annoys me a bit. And also, I don't know how common this is, but when you do the turn up volume up and down, nothing happens. Although it is actually turn the volume up and down. You notice on the Baofeng it would actually tell you what volume it was on. This one doesn't, so that's more of a niggle on my side. Anyway, I will put something together. Try and put something together later on with the scan channels again and zones. But as I say, it's pretty much the same as what I've done with the Baofeng 1701. But anyway, I hope this was of help. I do have quite a few more radios coming at some point, and you would have noticed I also have one of those TalkPods A36 or 39 plus, whatever it's called. I put a short up on about that earlier on, so I will be doing a programming on that. Anyway, please like and subscribe. Really does help the channel, and it also helps gets me noticed out there. It also helped me spur me on getting these cheap radios and seeing how they work and what I think of them. But even though this one's got an issue with the programming and the programming cable, I really do like it. Anyway, I better stop gibbering and jabbering, and I will see you all soon. Take care, 7 3s. B7 CUI signing off.